Good morning, friends.
Yes, sir, please.
Good morning to everyone. I welcome you all for the Kala webinar series 4. The web series 4 title is Digital Archiving of Technical Grey Literature CSIR NAL Initiative. This webinar series topic is going to deliver Mr. B.S. Shivaram. Mr. B.S. Shivaram is a team leader, digital archiving group, senior technical officer, National Aeronautical Lab, Bengaluru. Since 15 years, he is working there and is the member of consortia of VTU, Belagavi, and received state award from the government of Karnataka and the consortia LIS Academy member award from the VTU Belagavi also. He received award from the governor of Karnataka and he has published many articles in professional journal and has presented many papers in the conferences and seminars, and Shivaram is actively involved in many of the association lecture series and other activities. Also, I once again invite all the participants who have joined from various parts like Bombay, Delhi, Rajasthan, and many senior professionals from Karnataka have joined this web series lecture. And also, for the last 3 webinar series, we got a very good response from all over India. Around 100 participants have joined. So that's the reason this time we opted the paid version of the Zoom. Let more number can join, and my knowledge already 120 participants have joined from all over India. And with this lockdown period also, we have done some academic activities through Kala because of all your participation. And before handing over to Mr. Shivaram to deliver a lecture, I would like to hand over to give platform to Professor Asundi to tell about Kala, a brief introduction. Over to Professor Asundi, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Krishnamurthy. Thank you very much. And I am Dr. Asundi, the President of Karnataka State Library Association. In fact, the history of the Karnataka State Library Association goes back to nearly 60 years when Dr. Ranganathan started in 1964 itself. And in 1965, the Karnataka Public Library Act came into existence. And it is the only state act which actually included the state association as a recognized body to oversee the development of the public libraries. Unfortunately, till 1975, the Mysore Library Association, the Karnataka Library Association was working very well. For some reasons or others, it became stagnant for nearly 25 years. Then in 1989, we re-registered as Karnataka State Library Association. Since then, we have been conducting a lot of programs. For nearly 100 lectures, monthly lectures we conducted. We also held a Veterans Day at the decennial celebration of the Karnataka State Library Association. And we are also having monthly as well as the special lectures, and probably the webinar is one of the what you can say, feather in the crown of the Karnataka State Library Association. And following our initiative, many associations and many departments have also started the webinar programs all over India. I welcome all the participants, and also I welcome Dr. Shivaram, who was a student of Bangalore University. And I'm very proud to say that Bangalore City has a number of students like Dr. Shivaram and others, and Dr. Anand Bhairappa, who was also the student of Bangalore University. I'm very proud to have all these students as the heads of the several institution libraries and information centers. I once again welcome Dr. Shivaramu and request him to continue with his series. Dr. Shivaramu.
Thank you, Professor Rasundi. So he was my guru and a mentor. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the outset, very good morning to all of you.
Morning.
And hope everybody is safe in this pandemic crisis and making use of this lockdown period for the various professional and personal developments. At the beginning, I would like to thank authorities of Kala for taking this wonderful initiative to host a weekly webinar series and bring speakers from all spheres of profession to share their experiences. And today I will be sharing my experience and my initiative, what we have taken at CSIR NAL to archive various technical grey literature produced by our scientists and technologists. Dear friends, as we all know, digital technologies has disrupted all spheres of life. You name the domain, it has its impact. So libraries are not exceptional. So it has transformed entire library operations, library services in a new form. So instead of posing a threat, it has opened up a newer opportunities, various opportunities, so that we should upgrade our skills and reposition ourselves to be effective in this digital era. And today, if you look at this slide, we have a various opportunities today. And today I will be talking about digital archiving part. Of course, in print era, libraries used to do a lot of documentation work. Of course, maybe all type of documents we used to catalog and archive at libraries and disseminate to our end users. Of course, digital technologies have brought in a new changes. So libraries today can capture these born digital documents, and I will be speaking my institute experience and how we are able to capture almost 90 to 95% of content which is produced in our institute. So you all agree with me that any institution which is engaged, which is involved in research process, produce lot of content, and very few percent of this content makes into a external word in the form of white literature. Maybe it may be a journal article or a conference paper or book chapters or books, etc., which undergoes a peer review process and gets published in a regular publishing framework. And large part of this content remains within the organization in the form of technical grade literature, which is also a very useful information source for various scientific activities. And of course, very little part gets into IP domain, like patents. It gets into a patent, and IP is protected for that organization for this scientific literature. So libraries are facing challenges mainly in capturing this technical grade literature. Of course, white literature is quite easy. Directly we can go to a publisher site or a publisher platform. If you have an access, we can directly download that. Same is true with the patents also. But the real challenge lies with technical grade literature, unless until if your organization have a clear-cut policy, or your scientists voluntarily they give it to your library, which in the most of the cases which may not happen. So this same problem was there with CSIR NAL also. So we were able to address by having our own approach, by designing our own platform to capture this and convincing management to make a organization policy to submit this form of grey literature to the library platforms. If you look at what is grey literature, there are various definitions. The most accepted definition was Luxembourg definition, which was coined in 1997, which says the grey literature is one which is produced on all levels of government, academic, business, and industries, and in electronic or print or electronic formats. But most importantly, it's not controlled by any commercial publisher. Okay, and further it was expanded that where the publishing is not a primary activity of any organization who is producing this grey literature. So why grey literature is important? So if you look at the nature of this information source, it's quite important because it will have a first-hand raw data. So whatever scientists note down, it will have that. Whatever scientist makes into some sort of technical report or a project report or a project proposal, it will have a first-hand data and provide more up-to-date and detailed evidence. So when we submit any research communication to a journal or a conference, it will be a very concise report, concise research reporting. So where it undergoes various peer review process and further it is trimmed and it's published. But we may fail to get it a detailed evidence of any research activity which scientist has carried out. So which fortunately grey literature will have that data. And a quick access, as you all know, if you submit any paper or any article to a particular journal, it takes somewhere around 3 months to 1 year or 1.5 years, depends on journal review process. So that delay can be avoided if you archive this technical grey literature and expose it to your user community so that they can get instant access to this kind of information. And also it serves as a supplementary information source. Of course, many will prefer to refer white literature, which is peer reviewed and validated by experts, but also it can act as a supplementary information source. We had an experience at our NAL because many of our scientists and technologists used to request these kind of research reports which has been already made 10 years or 15 years before. Unfortunately, as a library, we didn't have that particular copies. And with a lot of pain, we used to say no to our users that this particular document which they are requested is not available with us. So there is a usage for this, and research and academic institutes which are engaged in various research activities, definitely they produce a lot of grey literature, and large part of it, unfortunately, it fails to make it to any library. That's the reality. And I understand in most of the organizations, it's true. So what are the limitations which make grey literature enters to libraries, or which fails to access by many users who are in need of that? Primarily, it's not published by any commercial publishing agency, so there is no firm or a publisher who publishes this, and it lacks a bibliographic control. If you see various white literature like books, journal article, and that, they have a standard bibliographic control to describe those documents, whereas it lacks in grey literature. And most of the cases, libraries or information centers ignore this by undervaluing its archival value or so. But what I feel is, as a technical institute, as a research institute, I think any technical grey literature will have some value. We have to determine that, and we should have a proper archival mechanism. Maybe high quality, but not peer reviewed. So people may not trust this kind of literature, though it contains a very good information, very valuable information. Since it lacks a peer review process, people may ignore. So these are various limitations. Of course, it's not. There is no index to expose this content to the international community. Like for white literature, we have a Scopus or Web of Science or any other bibliographic databases which index these various sources and expose to the community. And most of the time, their archival value is very short, maybe, and so people think it's as an ephemeral material or transit in nature, and they may not archive. So what are the types of grey literature? A recent study by Adams in 2017 by meta-analysis process, they have categorized these information sources into various band like white literature, grey literature, and a noise. In grey literature itself, they have categorized into 3 tier grey literature. Tier 1 grey literature Tier 1 gray literature consists of almost all technical in nature, technical documents like technical reports, technical notes, feasibility reports, etc. And often some of this content will make it to white literature domain by again further refining them and publishing as various white literature tab, which you can see here. And so at NAL, we are concentrating to capture this particular type of gray literature, Tier 1 gray literature. Of course, in Tier 2 gray literature, you have various annual reports, manuals, flyers, government reports, which may have some archival value, which we can also look into it for archival purpose. In Tier 3 gray literature, you have blogs. Some blogs may be really useful. Of course, it may have a little archival value kind of a thing, and you have various product catalog, newspaper, etc. They fall into Tier 3 gray literature domain. Of course, you have noise over internet, which constitutes larger part of that. So in NL and what we are doing, we are trying to capture various Tier 1 gray literature document types. I will show you when we go ahead of this presentation. So, is there any international efforts who are trying to capture this kind of gray literature? Yes, there are various efforts internationally. Of course, quite popular one are in a technical reports case. Maybe many of you would have heard about NASA NTRS technical reports. And what I have read is NASA technical reports from US technical report market is somewhere around $50 million. So it's not that it won't yield revenue, but it will have some value so that many will access these kind of technical reports. You have a US Energy Department OSTI reports, which is quite popular. I have listed their platforms on the right hand side, you can see. And from France, you have HL repository. It has got millions of technical reports archived there. And one of the national level technical repository is NRGL from Czech Republic, which is also quite popular. And they are aiming to capture entire national gray literature at one platform. And most important initiative was the Eagle project, which somewhere started in the late 70s and 80s. Then they made it as an online database called Seagull. Now they have transformed it to Open Gray, which is open access mode, where we can download a lot of gray literature. And there are various other. And of course, in a late 2000 or late 90s and early 2000, the concept of institutional repositories came. And many institutes started depositing or archiving this kind of gray literature on institutional repositories. But somehow, what studies reveals that Indian repositories are not concentrating really on capturing technical gray literature. They are limited to very white literature kind of things. So I have made a study of entire international repositories and Indian repositories and what is the percentage of technical gray literature archived by these open access institutional repositories. For this, I have taken a data from Base Search Engine, which is the largest aggregator of open access content. So what my study shows, and this study has been published in Emerald Electronic Library journal. So maybe if you are interested, you can read this particular article. So all both international and national, our Indian repositories are mainly concentrating on white literature. If you look at gray literature part, gray literature is very least percentage. Of course, in US they have compared to all other continents, European repositories have got more gray literature. Of course, their repository count is also more. So if you look at the Indian repositories, the gray literature part is very less, and in gray literature, they are archiving only thesis and dissertations, not other type of gray literature. This particular chart represents Indian open access repositories archived content. If you see, white literature records are quite high compared to gray literature, and also it's quite high in academic repositories, because they are concentrating in archiving all their thesis and dissertation, because thesis and dissertation is also type of a gray literature. Okay, so this is again I have taken a 6 major type of gray literature, that's data sets, course material, and looked into various international repositories and what is the percentage. If you see in Europe, a large amount of data sets has been archived at institution repositories, and reports is the second type of document type, gray document type, and thesis and dissertation is also quite good. So as far as these are the gray literature archiving by top 10 countries. If you look at Germany, Germany has almost 70% of the repository content is data sets. So that makes Europe repositories as a major share of data sets. And it varies from country to country as far as document type is concerned. But if you look at all countries, doctoral thesis as one of the common document type of technical literature which repositories are archived. If you look at Indian repository, again, only theses are archived. Thesis and dissertation archives, which makes almost 80% of our repository content as far as technical gray literature is concerned. Rest all other gray document types are ignored. As far as CSIR, we have around 28 institutional repositories which are in open access domain. In CSIR also only doctoral theses were archived by various laboratories except NAL, because we have a initiative at place. All other document types are ignored. So my point here is that somehow there is a provision to archive technical literature at institution repository, but it's not happening. So that's there is some issues, there is some problem with this kind of archival at the institutional repositories. So what is the solution for this? So when I informally spoke to our scientists and technologists, they gave two, three reasons why they hesitant to deposit on open access repositories. Of course, one is classified in nature, because we as a NAL is involved in various strategic programs. We do handle various sponsored projects and all, and we produce a lot of project reports which are classified in nature, which cannot be put it on open access domain. Of course, institution repositories provide us to have access control, but still scientists and technologists' perception is that if something goes on the internet, may not be secure, whatever measures we take. So that is one. And some scientists also felt that there is no proper review mechanism, because they are in a crude nature and they don't want to put it on internet as it is, unless if you have a review mechanism which is absent in your institutional repository. So at least the internal divisional or organization level review should happen. Then they are quite confident to put it on institution repositories. And some scientists also felt that these project reports in a later part, they convert them into a journal article. If they already put them on open access domain, maybe if they convert this particular work as a journal paper, that point of time it shows a similarity. That means this particular work is already published in so and so repository, and it will be difficult for them to publish them as a journal article. So in that case, they have to justify to the editor and all. These are the various reasons our scientists gave at NAL. So what we did is we came out with a intranet-based, secure, personalized system where they can deposit without any ambiguities. So, for your information, to speak about the National Aerospace Laboratories, we are the only research institute who are carrying out a research and development program in civil aviation. You have various DRDO labs who are doing research on combat aircraft side. So we are doing research on civil aviation domain, and we are the largest laboratory in the CSIR community. We have 1,000+ strength and 800+ dedicated scientists and technologists working in various technologies of aerospace. And our major success stories are: we have a 2-seater ANSA trainer flight already in the market, and we have SARAS, of course, it's ongoing project, and Drishti is a airport visibility measurement. And we have several technologies, I have listed very few, and also we have various national level facilities which can be used by any user group. This is briefly about CSIR NAL. And any archiving activity, if any library wants to do, first they should determine whether really these sources are archival value, whether really users are using this. So for this, what I did, we did 25 years of Scopus published papers from CSIR, 35 CSIR labs. We took as a sample study, and we took references of all these 35 laboratories publication for the period of 25 years. So that yielded somewhere around 1 lakh plus article. And what we did, we collected the references of this 1 lakh articles. So it came around some 7.5 lakhs, something like that. And what it did, we extracted the source information from the references which we collected from Scopus for all 35 CSIR laboratories. And we looked at the various referencing style. For example, what is the percentage of reviewed references, that's white literature, and what's the percentage of gray literature which researchers are using to write their publications. If you take number of average references for any CSIR labs, of course, in engineering and physical, this domain is engineering and physical laboratories. We have around 14 engineering and physical science laboratories, and the rest are working in chemical and biological sciences out of 35. So if you look at reference average is more biological and chemical laboratories, whereas it was a bit low at engineering and physical sciences. These are overall references, and we wanted to see the percentage of gray references. The percentage of gray reference usage was more on engineering and physical sciences. So NAL is also an engineering laboratory, falls under engineering domain, and our scientists were referring this technical gray literature. Maybe if not the world average, which is around 6 to 8% of references are gray in nature by various several studies have proved that. And maybe in our case, it was around 4 to 5% kind of a thing, and some labs are really more than 8%. And I'm sure from this study, we came to know that our engineering and physical science domain researchers are referring gray literature, technical gray literature. Of course, percentage may be less. This may be because there is no proper archival system in place. So many users are not having access to this. This is the hypothesis what we arrived. So if you look at, if I say technical gray literature, it may be external gray, which is available either in library or on over internet or maybe open access domain. And there is an internal gray literature, which is produced within the organization. Okay, then we compare with the four research subject domains, that is biological sciences, chemical sciences labs, and engineering and physical sciences. Of course, biological and chemical science internal gray literature usage was there. It was quite less. And as far as engineering sciences and physical sciences, internal gray literature was quite high. That means people are referring their own technical gray literature to write a white literature. So this proved us that there is an archival value. If we have a robust archival framework to archive this and make accessible to our user community, this usage may go little high. So that was enabled us to come out with a new initiative at lab level, our lab level, to design a new archival platform which should address our scientists' ambiguities like security of restricted documents and the review process, at least internal review process for this unpublished, so that some sort of quality is maintained. So all those features, all those feedback we took from our scientists, and we thought of designing a new platform. These are the various numbers and various type of gray literature produced annually, approximate numbers annually at CSIR NAL. So we produce somewhere around 100 to 120, 130 SCI indexed journal articles, some 8 to 100 conference papers, and more importantly, technical reports or project reports are 250 to 300. These are the reports we were really missing from library point of view, from information center point of view. And also CSIR and other scientists publish various technical memorandums and notes, special publications, which is a feasibility reports, which will not be a restricted documents, and various project proposals. And some of them may not get project, but they would have done extensive work to prepare this project report, and they would have prepared that, and a lot of test reports. And also, all CSIR labs encourage these graduate and postgraduate students to carry out their research
Hello. Sir, sound mute again. Okay. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Sir, screen ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂತು.
ಮುಲ್ಲಾ ಸರ್ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಮುಲ್ಲಾ ಸರ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇದು? ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್
ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಈಗ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಆಡಿಬಲ್?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
Oh, sorry for that technical issue. So these are the various type of documents gets generated at CSIR NAL, and we are able to get this white literature quite easily. Of course, the technical gray literature was a real challenge for us. And as you all know, CSIR Open Access NAL Open Access Repository was established in 2004. It runs on e-prints. So here we are able to get white literature for our repository, but gray literature was we are able to get only 20 to 30%, remaining 70%. We used to miss that. And also in white literature, as you all know, all repositories, if not all, majority of the repositories will have a same fate, that voluntary deposition is very, very minimal. So all repository content is filled with library staff. They majorly they go to the publisher site and download that article and upload in their repository. So that's the usual trend what we have seen, and most of the time there will be a copyright issues. So from our initiative, what we have done is, since we have an internal and we have a mandatory submission policy for an internal system, now we are able to get most of the journal article in preprint and postprint format, so that we can put them as an archival repository in our open access repository and make them as copyright compliant. So that's one advantage as far as white literature is concerned we are having. As far as gray literature, now it's a mandatory policy at NAL to submit to our system, which I'm going to talk now. Challenges for NAL IR was getting retrospective content was very challenging. Of course, it is true for all other repositories also, and getting hold of non-SCI publications which doesn't have online version, which doesn't have e-journal version, it was difficult to get that. And poor voluntary participation from NAL researchers, scientists to deposit their published work at NAL repository. And of course, copyrighted work for sponsored projects, there was an issue. And as I told you, a lot of project reports will be restricted in nature, and many of them are not volunteering to deposit that IR policy. These are the various challenges for NAL IR we had. To address this issue, we came out with one intranet-based archival platform where we convinced our management to have an organization mandatory policy that any piece of information which is produced at NAL should be deposited at CSI at Prakash, and Prakash is an archival platform what we have designed, and it will generate a unique number for that publication that I will show you towards my presentation, later part of my presentation. And to give you a brief idea about this Prakash system, it's an internally designed and developed platform. And what we have done is, before designing with this, we studied the publication system, existing publication system, which was manual in nature at NAL. So in NAL, any scientist or any technologist who writes a paper, it goes to divisional DAC, Divisional Assessing Committee. So divisional assessing committee will look into our entire report or a journal paper and check for any classified content is there. If classified content is there, then they used to take out that, and they used to suggest them to take out and publish. And we studied that process, and also the archival part of it. And we convinced them, our management, to that we will automate this publication process of NAL so that automatically it reaches to that entire channel. And we requested them to make it as an organization level policy so that any piece of information which is written by NAL scientists and technologies should be routed through Prakash. So management made that policy, and we deployed this on intranet and with the access control. Only those who are depositing the documents, the co-authors and their HOD and the DSC committee members will have access to that document. And of course, metadata can be visible for all other people so that they can request library for a particular document. And we used all open source technologies to develop this platform. And our objective was to capture entire content produced at NAL, of course, the support from management, and we allocate unique ID for each and every publication produced at NAL. So this is how workflow of our new Prakash system. Of course, we employed majorly the e-print workflow with adding one more module for review mechanism, which many of our scientists insisted. So each and every permanent employee of NAL will have their user ID login. They will, and it will be same as our intranet login, same as internet user ID login. And they logs into our publication module, and they select the grade literature document type, like project reports, special publications, journal preprints, conference preprints, patents, and we have added several more. Based on this document type, the metadata elements will be displayed, and users fills in all metadata elements, and he uploads the document. The uploading the full text document is mandatory. Once he uploads and deposits, it automatically trigger a automated email to his HOD. So HOD inside will assign a reviewers will have a review panel. Maybe it may be inter-department or intra-department. So he selects a panel of reviewers and assign them to look at. They may not be expert reviewers like your journal review system. What they do is they look for classified information, any similarity, and similarity or plagiarism check, and any images which are repetitive in nature. Because some last May or so, one of our CSIR lab, IITR, Indian Institute of Toxicology Research, they published several publication papers in various journals, and they used similar images, similar photographs to study the effect of that drug what they have tried out on mouses, okay, mouse and rabbits and laboratory animals. And some agencies found out and made a huge report on various national dailies, making that it's unethical research which CSIR has involved. So our DG, CSIR and our director also insisted we need to have a proper and robust check on these kind of unethical research practices like plagiarism, falsification or fabrication of data kind of a thing. So these reviewers will check only for that. They will not review the entire document as you review in journal papers. Based on the reviewers input, HOD will approve that document for further publishing activity or archiving activity. Once HOD approves the document, we generate a unique publication number, like if it is a PD project document, PD-division abbreviation /year, and unique identification number will be generated, and this identification number will be incremental in nature in each year. And also we have embedded a MPDF. It's again an open source tool which automatically converts all file formats like your MS Word, if it is a text or if it is a PPT, it automatically converts into PDF and archives there. And also we have a standard cover page for each document type with a color coding and barcoding of this number will be done, and it will be, and these cover pages also will be automatically generated for each publication. This is how we process this, and we have integrated our similarity plagiarism, authenticated plagiarism along with these tools. So for any journal article or conferences, we strictly do the similarity check, and we upload that similarity reports along with the document itself, so that reviewers and HOD will have a look at that similarity reports. So the tools that we have used to deploy this Prakash is Apache web server, and backend database MySQL, and entire platform is coded in PHP. One of my colleagues, Mr. Nishant, has contributed entire coding of this module, and it archives various technical grey literature publication types, and the metadata has been customized to each publication, each document type. If it is a project report, technical report, metadata elements will vary for that. And it's a multi-user categories with a specific roles. You have a document depositing privileges for all scientists, and a reviewer privilege, and HOD will be a moderator or approver, and we have an ethical committee. If a scientist or a technologist deposits a document, and unfortunately with some reasons HOD doesn't act within 10 days, so automatical email will be triggered to the highest body of a NAL publication committee, that's called as ethical committee. This document has not been taken action for last 10 days, so that the ethical committee will come into picture, and they instruct respective authorities to take care of that process. And it is decentralized, since we have 3 campuses in Bangalore itself. So all 3 campus internet, wherever they are, they can deposit their documents. And automated internal review mechanism we have built in. So we have a subject-wise reviewers panel, so that HODs can pick up reviewers from those panels and ask them to do internal review, not the extensive content review. And the single point, it also acts as a single point personal library for a depositor, and also a personal library for that particular division. It will have an entire summary of that particular divisions as far as the publications are concerned, including grey literature documents. And it also, as I told you, processes personal library, and centralized archive. As far as libraries are concerned, for us it serves as a centralized server for unpublished literature of an organization. And for any administrative purpose or annual report purpose, we take statistics from this particular modules, like division-wise summary or author-wise summary, how many papers, how many PDs, how many technical documents he has produced. That data can be pulled here, and whatever documents we want to put it on institution repository, we directly export them as an XML format and import them in our institution repository, which is a ePrint backed repository, and we assign a unique number for each document, and it serves as a persistent identification number internally at NAL level. And as I told you, we have integrated PDF converter, which converts all documents into PDF format for long-term access. This is how the modules of our Prakash system. Here, document depositor will deposit their document by selecting the type of grey literature. An automated mail will be triggered to HOD that so and so author has deposited so and so document with a link to him. We can just click on that link and log into that and access that document. And in between, we would have been submitted similarity report if it is a journal paper or a conference paper. So HOD will have access to similarity report and the full text of that document what user has deposited, and he will push the document to the reviewer panel. So reviewer will get 10 days of time. So he has to go through the document, and he has to give his comments with respect to similarity, and any images or restricted content or any other things he notifies. Based on the reviewer comments, HOD approves that document and it comes to repository. So as an administrator, we have a overall control of user management, document management, and other reports management modules. This is how document deposition and depositor interface looks like that. He logs in to the publication module, selects document type. Based on document type, metadata elements will be loaded. Okay, metadata elements he will fill up, and here we are capturing a reference field, and we have made it as a mandatory. For the purpose, we want to see how many library resources has been used to prepare a particular document or a grey literature. So what is the usage of our library resources? So we collect references from Scopus for published papers and references from Prakash for unpublished literatures, and we do text mining, and we come out that how far the content of our library has been used, especially in terms of journals and e-content. So we make that kind of analysis also. So once he fills up all metadata, he adds authors who are responsible for this particular work, then uploads full text document. As for in case of journal or conference paper, here a similarity check is mandatory. So he deposits and requests library to conduct similarity check. Once we upload the similarity check, he can deposit a document and the entire metadata will be displayed to cross check. Once he validates that metadata, he can deposit. Then it goes to HOD area, moderator area. So HOD logs in and selects whichever document type, and he assigns a reviewer. Based on reviewer comment, he will take a decision whether it's approved or modification required, or he cannot approve that. And here we have given an option to conduct a division level seminar also. For example, HOD feels no, this is an interesting area and a seminar should happen at divisional or inter-divisional or intra-division level. He can invite, he can schedule a seminar and he can send out an automated mail to entire NAL staff saying that so and so seminar is scheduled on so and so date. Interested people can attend that. So based on that seminar feedback also, you can take a approval or disapprove or a rejection decision for a particular document. So here HOD can see entire his whole year activity, how many PDs, how many technical memorandums, how many journal articles has been published by a particular division. This will be a divisional summary. And this is the internal reviewer interface. So reviewer, once HOD assigns a article for review, a reviewer will get an automated mail with a link. So you can log into that module and you can start accessing the similarity report, full text document. He will go through that and he gives his comments so that his comments are also displayed there. And based on these comments, HOD will take a decision. So this is an administrator interface. Of course, we are trying to inbuilt data visualization tools so that how many articles, how many document types, division wise, all those things. Still, we are trying this. It will display, the graph will be displayed. And here we'll have a various privileges like generating reports for annual reports, for institution repository, etc. And user management, document management interface and all. So here once document is approved by HOD, so all editing option will freeze. So nobody can edit that. Since it has passed all the modules, later part we cannot edit that. So what we suggest our users is whatever modifications they have to do before approval of HOD, head of the department. So these are the various documents till now we have archived. So we established this Prakash and deployed in the year of 2014. Of course, there we couldn't achieve full. So now year by year we are able to achieve all documents which are produced by NAL scientists. Of course, management has a full support by making it as an organization policy. You can see various document types we have archived here. Majority of them are project reports, project documents, which most of the cases they are in restricted access. So once it becomes unrestricted or unclassified, users can come back and tell if they insist, we will deposit them into institution repository so that external community can have access. Otherwise, this metadata is accessible for all NAL users so that anybody can request that particular project documents and refer that. Earlier cases, what was happening, since library didn't have this archive, these reports used to live only with that project leader or only that project team. So it was not going out of that project team, and only those project scientists used to cite this. Whereas now there are various collaborative research work inside NAL itself. There are various divisions who collaborate for this work, so they can refer these documents. And as I told you, we also have various students from across India comes and do projects here at graduate level and postgraduate level, and they do submit one soft copy of their report to library, which is a mandatory. And what we are trying to do is we have set up a separate repository. Since they are not a permanent employees, we can't allow them to register with Prakash. So they hand over that documents and we deposit that in a separate repository called sports, Student Project Report Server. So we have somewhere around 1,000 plus. Right now, of course, this screenshot is quite old. And what we are planning to do is we want to integrate this repository to iAuthenticate, our plagiarism tool. So we are talking to them so that we can educate our students who submit project reports, and we can avoid this kind of unethical research practices in the beginning itself that we are trying. To conclude my talk, so Grey literature is considered as an important information source by researchers. Of course, if they have access to that, they love to refer that. And the references, various citation studies have showed that this referencing of this Grey literature is an increasing trajectory. And R&D institutions, I'm sure they are producing a large amount of Grey literature. And unfortunately, lack of archival mechanism or policies, they vanish as soon as they produce, or it will go with an individual researcher if he leaves or if he quits that institute, or if his hardware fails, we may lose that. So if you have an archiving platform, it will help us to capture that. And the digital archiving of information sources is a core activity. Maybe we can do more. We can concentrate more on getting these documents. Of course, our library job will increase, library workload will increase. Of course, it's worth archiving this. What I feel, which is evident in my case, in my institute case, and archiving need to be encouraged in terms of policies, in terms of technology infrastructure at institutional level, and also in terms of manpower, as we are witnessing libraries are library manpower is diminishing day by day. And dedicated digital archiving system, what I feel is need of a day, so that we can capture entire content or information which is produced at any organization. So I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your patience, and I will be happy to answer if you have any queries. And also we are trying to make this as a open source package, and whoever is interested, we are happy to distribute, of course, with the permission of my organization. And me and my colleague Nishant are very much interested to make this particular piece of software into open access domain, so that if it is of some help to anybody, so we will be happy to help them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. There are a few questions.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to have any questions, please click on that hand raise button. So I'll unmute them so they can ask the questions. Sir, this question from Sudarshan Rao. Okay. How does archiving of technical Grey literature is different from other kinds of Grey literature or from other kinds of resources?
Other kinds of resources means, see, what we have noticed in our NAL.
Yes, sir.
See, there are around 150 Grey literature types. Okay. That's what Adamson study has listed. Okay. So their metadata fields may vary from document type to document type. So in NAL, our case was like project reports or technical reports or any other document types. There may be a different metadata. And also, in some organizations, some researchers may not insist on that review process, internal review process, which we observed in NAL. Okay. So what I feel, it varies from institution to institution. As a document type wise, major metadata fields may be shared, major workflow may be same. Okay. There may be some part of customization may be required. Otherwise, your repositories also fulfill your objective. But if organizations specific policies or specific demands from user community, you need to customize. So in our case, we had 10 years of that institution repository in place, but unfortunately only 20% to 30% of this technical literature used to come into our repository. So that forced us to come out with this customized
internally
developed system, which has got more effective in nature.
Okay. Sir, one more question from S. Mohan Kumar. Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Hello, Mohan Kumar. Okay. We have one more Balraju Vatti. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, please go ahead. Sir, one more is grey literature with access restriction. Can it be edited like other resources such as proprietary or open access?
Grey literature with access
Restrictions.
See, the access restriction, what I spoke here is,
Yes, sir.
since we handle a sponsor projects, okay, which are from DRDO, ISRO and all, when the sponsorer will clearly tell that whatever documents, whatever publications we produce,
Okay, sir.
should not be put on internet unless until they have a clear-cut instruction from the sponsor.
Okay.
So what our scientists insist, they want to keep it with themselves only. So what we are convinced is, no, this is also a secure system. Maybe today it is restricted. We may not give access to all. Tomorrow it becomes, once technology becomes old enough to make it in an open domain, so we can make that document in open access, or it can be accessible outside our organization, outside the sponsors. Okay. So review means, for example, definitely like it is internally reviewed and it is archived now. For example, the group of scientists who have produced this technical literature, if they want to make it as a journal article or a conference paper, then they will rewrite in a concise manner. Then they will subject to review process.
Okay.
And they will publish that. So same format, since it is not, it won't have an access to outside world. I don't think that reviewing that will be possible, because it will be limited to the group of people inside the institute. Sure. The main objective of this Prakash, this initiative, what we have done,
yes,
see, it was failing to come to library itself. It was going with the project leader or project team.
Okay,
at least now it is coming to library, so that the next generation users can also read, or can also have an idea about how this kind of work has been done already 10 years back or 5 years back. I can have a look at it, I can improvise that one. That was our main objective. Of course, once it comes out of the clutches of that restrictions, we will make it into open access domain through our repository. That was an idea.
Sir, one more. Balraju is having question. Yeah, Balraju. Can you hear me, Mr. Balraju?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead with your question, sir.
Yeah. So my question is, if grey literature is not a, what we call is not a publishing literature, how can we access to it? Open access, sir?
See, you have a lot of content on internet, lot of blog sites on internet. So it is not published by anybody else, right? Similarly, you have a lot of technical report servers like NASA Technical Report Server or OSTI or OpenGray, and there are a lot of exclusive grey literature servers itself, and people are citing that. Okay, it's not that you cannot cite that, you cannot use that. So many citations, exclusive citation studies has been conducted on the usage of grey literature part only. So it is up to a researcher or up to an author whether really it makes a valid idea which he can use in his research. Okay, as I told you, there is no peer review mechanism, so there may be a question of trustworthiness what you are feeling. I'm right. So it's an up to a researcher who can judge that.
So one more question. Yeah, you are automating publishing by one Prakash what we call platform, no? For this, which kind of software are you using, sir, for open source?
See, Apache web server, for server purpose, Apache it will we have developed, and backend MySQL, and it is coded in PHP. It's a simple scripting language. So PHP has been used, and in the few places some JavaScript we have enabled. And for converting Word files to PDF, we have used again a free source called MPDF. We have MPDF modules which we have integrated.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have one more question from Dr. Meera Mani. Madam, please go ahead with your question.
Sir, good afternoon. It was very educative information. My question is, does your library has the facility to access grey literature for private universities?
No, madam. Right now, since it's an intranet-based system, so you cannot access this literature. So what we are trying to do is, over a period of time, any grey literature which comes out of this restriction, classified clutches, we will push them into our repository, institutional open access repository, which can be accessed outside NAL, also anywhere from the world. So NAL-IR. Through that you can access our technical grey literature, which is not restricted in nature. So as far as restricted in nature, no, it's not available right now.
Actually, we have taken institutional membership of NAL.
Okay.
So, yeah. Do you have any what kind of benefits will get it, sir, from grey literature?
Right now, institutional membership, what we have given is you can come to our library, you can make use of our library print resource. Okay. So we are the pioneers in aerospace collection is concerned. We are the best in Asia, I can tell, because we have a 3 lakh plus technical reports of NASA, NACA. All those technical reports you can make use of it, and of course print collection you can make use. And on need-based.
Research.
Yeah, tell me, madam.
Yeah. So if we come there, we can access the grey literature free of cost.
Yes. Need-based.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, one more question from Vinod Kumar. Yeah, Mr. Vinod Kumar, please go ahead.
Thanks a lot, sir. Sir, actually, I'm having one question and one request. So, on what type of classification you are using to, segregate or the grade literature? And if possible, can you arrange any demo since you are going to release as an open source software? Can you make arrangement for demo of this software grade literature?
Yeah, that it is in our plan to make it as an open source software. Definitely, I will inform once we are ready with that. As far as classification scheme is that, as I told you, the document types. Okay, grey literature document types. We are following that Adams classification where he has listed around 150 document types of grey literature. So what we have taken very few document types which are relevant to our NAL from Tier 1 grey literature documents. And metadata we evolved. Of course, largely we have taken from ePrints, which uses Dublin Core metadata standard. Based on that, we have added locally, which we felt very important, like report number, sponsored agency, or that document, that project period, and that kind of local variations we have made.
Thank you, sir. One more question from Shiv Shankar. Please go ahead your question, sir. Mr. Shiv Shankar. Yeah, please.
Sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Shivaram, sir. It was a very informative and a good initiative which you have taken in the CSIR lab.
Thank you,
very much appreciative one, sir. Sir, I have two questions, sir. One is, you were saying that in the Prakash module, once the HOD gets and it was forwarded to the review committee, review team, to check for the images and any calculation duplicate, something like. Correct. So how you are overcoming that, sir? Like, for example, you may have an N number of grade literature, and how the review team will identify this image has been used.
See, this image and classified information we are strictly following for conference paper and journal paper, which goes out of NAL. Okay, and the preprints and all. This journal and conference items, because once it goes out, only people will come to know. As far as internal grey literature is concerned, that image thing, it can be repetitive in various places, because single project will have so many project reports, and they have to use similar kind of a thing. So we are very vigil on journal and conference paper of repeating this image thing. And what we have done, for example, if an article goes to a particular review, that all his author's publication will be visible by the reviewer. So that if you can have a related work already submitted in Prakash, you can have a look at that and you can raise an objection.
Okay.
That's
so my second question.
Yeah, there is no automated process to check duplicate images.
Okay, great, sir.
So it should be a manual.
Second question is, sir, are you planning for any consortia of thing among the CSIR labs to come out with an interoperable mechanism? Consortia of grey literature, sir.
This not yet, Shiva. Maybe we are planning to have a national level or CSIR level. If not CSIR, means not only CSIR, national level platform kind of a thing where people can deposit their grey literature. Yeah. Possibly, maybe a lot of studies needs to be required in terms of copyrighted, in terms of financial modules and all. If you look at NTRS or OSTI, they are all self-sustained models which are earning a lot of revenues, and this revenue is being shared among authors or organizations. So that kind of mechanism is not there in India level. So possibly either in collaboration with institutes like your InflibNet or CSIR, NISCARE or NAL, maybe we can come and partner, and we can think of establishing a national level facility where anybody, either can be any academic institution or any private R&D or public R&D, can, if they want to publish their technical grey literature on national level platforms, we can think of that. Right now, we have not thought in that direction. Maybe that will be a very good idea to come out with that kind of platform.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
We will be happy to partner. We will be happy to partner.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Sir, one more question from Sudarshan Rao. Yeah, Mr. Sudarshan Rao, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. I think Dr. Shivaram has made a very interesting presentation. Honestly, to my knowledge, we do have a lot of literature, grey literature, also in social sciences.
Okay.
And now the issue, what I really wanted to, first of all, thank you, Shivaramji, but one issue, what I really feel is, grey literature has got of restrictions for access because it's unpublished, honestly.
Correct.
Number two, now, its awareness is not very well known to many of the people, those who are concerned with subject field also.
Correct, I agree.
In those kind of context, now, can we expect grey literature being cited similar to that of our proprietary or open access resources?
Correct. Right now, if you look world average, grey literature citation is somewhere around 6 to 8% of the total references,
that's what you are
which I have. Yeah. It may be, there are maybe several issues. One, as one of our participants pointed out, that how do I trust since it doesn't have a proper review mechanism. Maybe if you address that and have accessible platforms, like none of the citation or bibliographic databases are exposing this literature to the external community. That is also one lacuna or one limitation we have as far as grey literatures are concerned. Maybe if you work on these directions, like having some sort of review process, exactly not like journal or conference or book chapters, some sort of quality assurance, some sort of platforms which expose us to the larger community with a bibliographic control, and repositories also may play. Hello. So that may help by increasing awareness of.
Since it is not really been reviewed literature.
Correct.
Many a time. Now, in that context, whatever we really either use or cite, does it really carry the same credibility as that of the one that is reviewed?
See, once you refer, of course, nobody keeps track of citations for grey literature, like what you do for journal articles.
True.
So, right? Yeah. So once you start establishing a systems, maybe they may come. Like people also give importance to citations of technical grey literature also. I think Google, if you upload into Google Scholar, it may give some citation. But as far as Scopus and Web of Science, since it's not part of those kind of databases, so there comes a credibility issue. We have to see how it evolves, how it develops. Like.
Yeah. Sir, thank you very much. Now I request Professor A.Y. Asundi sir to concluding. Yes, sir. Please. Yes, sir.
I have a small announcement.
Yes, sir. Please.
Conclude.
Please. Yes.
Sir, LIS Academy in collaboration with NCSI Net Foundation, they are starting a new webinar series. So around 30 weekly lectures has been already planned. So daily Saturday, Sunday. It will be Saturday and Sunday. And daily they will have 2 lectures from experts from both industry, repute corporates, and well-known academicians and research institutes. So it will be on Saturday 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and every Sunday 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. starting from 16th of May to 21st of June, sir. And totally, we have right now in the first phase, we have planned around 18 lectures, and we will send out a list forum announcement very shortly. And I request all participants to popularize these webinars and make use of this. And we are trying to make an online certificate also for the participants, so that it will help them to upgrade their knowledge about the latest technologies. And so to name few topics, what we are trying to do is job in LIS market, and communication skills, and the personality development skills, and web development tools, discovery layers, e-resource management tools. All these sort of topics we are planning. And I request all audience, all participants to communicate this in their friend circle. And we have a 10,000 user license has been taken, so there is no restriction on participant side. So as many people can log in and make use of this. And I thank Kala authorities, especially my guru Asundi sir, Krishnamurthy sir, and Reddy, my good friend, for providing this wonderful opportunity to share my little initiatives at my organization. And I feel it's of some new learning for the participants, and it will help them to have more awareness about this technical literature. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, final question from my end is, the participants are requesting for your presentation. Can we share that with the participants?
Yeah, what I will do, I will mail it to you. Maybe you can share with them, sir, because you have their email IDs and all.
Okay. Sir, over to Asundi sir. Asundi sir, please go ahead, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you,
Hello?
sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shivaram, for excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to add something.
Yes,
since this is for your local organization, and
yes,
many questions may not be quite relevant to be answered.
Yes, sir.
Because there is a lot of work that is going on all over the world about the grey literature. And probably you may have just maybe knowing that NTIS,
yes, sir,
having a very large, about 5 million technical reports, which was actually created in 1964 as a clearing house for grey literature.
Yes, yes.
And complete NTIS reports are archived. And government of India, all the ministries are having the archive of their annual reports.
Okay.
That is one information, because you may not add that one to your organization, because as you said, there are about 150 types of grey literatures.
Yes, sir.
And probably you may not have all of them.
Correct, sir. It's true.
So if you want others, then there are other organizations like newspaper agencies, publications. They are actually archiving their own newspaper. When microfilm came, most of the newspapers, they started microfilming their newspapers. And when I was working in IIM, I got the newspapers of Economic Times in microfilm. Now they are all archived them. Okay. So there is NTIS. Then grey literature has another technical term is called the ephemeral literature. Ephemeral in the sense that it has got very short life. So it need not be referred. Referencing may not be there. But as you rightly said, in future it may be referred.
Correct, sir.
Sometimes we say that it is a mimeograph report and we refer that also. So these are my some additions to what actually we have done. An excellent presentation. And this is again a very good initiative by Kala. And taking this initiative from Kala, many organizations are actually following. Almost every day we get 1 or 2 emails through our list forum that somebody has already organized a webinar about that. And I once again thank Dr. Shivaramu and all other participants who have participated in this particular, the 4th webinar organized by the Kala. I thank all our friends, Dr. Subhash Reddy, Dr. Krishnamurthy, and others who have been organizing and coordinating the entire efforts of this webinar program by the Kala. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all.